all you Splinterheads. Welcome back. Bronze Dragon here saying thanks for dropping by. I do appreciate your time. This video is going to be a mishmash kind of items. I'm going to provide an update on where I stand as far as this channel goes, where I'm at with land and the game overall. It's going to be a pretty quick one. But I have two items that were brought up in, or two topics that were brought up in my Saturday morning stand-up yesterday morning that I thought were worth fleshing out a little bit and talking about. Topics that you may be interested. One is dealing with lands, and one is dealing with the current card pack situation. So if that sounds interesting, please go ahead and keep watching. Otherwise, hit a like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Just kidding. So anyway, I kind of mentioned my stand-up, Saturday morning stand-up, which is a live stream, takes an hour, starts on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And we go for an hour. We talk about mostly Splinterlands, but other Hive-related game topics as well, for the most part. Coming up on the 25th edition of my Saturday morning stand-up. So not next week, but the week after will be the 25th edition. So I'm trying to think of something interesting to do. So please make sure and mark it on your calendars and drop by if you have the time. Might do something fun that day. Gratuitous advertising out of the way. Okay, so this week I didn't. I guess the status is I took time out to do what I thought was going to be a little bit more popular than what it was, and that is this series of videos on that I termed or I titled "Getting to Know Praetoria," and this is a series of informational videos or information that comes from the Splinter Lore website. That is made up by the team that is trying to fill in the cracks of the game, so to speak. Add some flavor text. Give something surrounding the game. Give it a little bit of meat. And Nate talks about this a lot because I know he's really into it. I liked it, so I thought it would be a good idea. And I saw that the team had put effort into actually creating these documents and, give flavor around each of the areas within Praetoria and who makes up those lands. So I did a series on them last week on each area of land within Praetoria, and they're out there now. I put a whole separate playlist together. So if you're interested, go check them out. That's what I was doing last week. So, and overall, last week, they also had announced on the town hall, I think the big item that didn't really hit me so hard as it hit some of the Mavs because they had released a date that they were going to release Land 1.5 on the Mav server, right? And let the Mavs take a look at it, right? So that I think the big item was that they announced that there was a big issue that came up in testing, and they weren't going to allow that. So it kind of blew up with certain portions of people. I didn't think it was such a big idea or a big issue because one, I'm not a Mav, but two, I'm kind of I know how it goes in testing. Okay, so I'm not a developer myself, but I just got through an integration project, and I know how you can be going through testing and find like one thing that as you're starting to test with it and test everything around it, the different connections around it, and what this one thing may blossom up into several different issues, and I know how that goes. So we've waited this far, so I don't really think it's a big issue. They never really said that it was going to extend the release of Land 1.5 past August, like they had said earlier. It was just the release to the Mav server. So maybe the Mavs just don't end up getting to see it before it goes live. I don't know. Maybe they get a week with it beforehand. But at this point, there's 11 days left before the end of the August. But I think the bottom line is I would rather see them take a little bit more time and button up any issues with the release before they release it. Okay. Am I saying it needs to be perfect? No, I'm not. I'm saying that, as we know, this is like a work in progress. That's why we're getting incremental releases and not just one big, here's land, But I've mentioned this idea in the past that they can't afford to have a game-breaking issue with Land 1.5. In other words, there are a few different mechanics going on, several different mechanics that could, you know as well as I do that if there is a hole in the code, so to speak, there's a way to abuse the system, there's going to be somebody that finds it and jumps on it fast. And we've seen this in other games, or I've seen this in other games, where people jumped on it, found an issue, exploited it to the max, and then all of a sudden they're so far ahead of everybody else in the game, so to speak, as far as the land game or whatever game it is, that nobody can catch up. Okay, and nobody likes to be in that situation. So I guess my main point is we can't have a release where there's kind of an issue like that comes out, because it would be so widespread. It would have the potential to affect everything. And with our recent economy, with Bitcoin taking a downturn last week and it hitting SPS and DEC hard, not as hard as other cryptocurrencies, right? We've discussed that before, but in the live stream. But it did hit them, and you saw a downturn in the value, or not the value, the price of the two cryptocurrencies. We just can't afford to have that. So anyway, baseline, I'd rather them take a little bit more time, iron things out, find out what's broken, fix it, rather than rushing it out. Okay, so that's my main point on that. The second thing I want to talk about is came out of our discussion on the live stream on Saturday, is the idea of Land 1.5 being a very different game than what Land 2.0 is, because it all kind of came out of this discussion of, hey, are you prepared? Are you prepared? So right up front, I kind of buttoned up my preparation this last week. I bought the last 2 cards I need. If you follow me, you know I have 10 plots of land at this point. I think I'm happy with 10 plots. Unless I see some kind of like super great deal pop on the market. Yes, I'm always looking at the market, right? I've always got Peak Monsters open, refreshing every once in a while just to see, because I've scored a few good deals, right? You never know, because those good deals, just like on sale sites and auction sites, they don't last long. They pop up, they're gone. So I guess I'm happy with 10 due to the price involved with preparing for land. I don't think I can soak up any more. I do like the idea of going wide and having a lot of land to go forward in the future, possibly buy, sell, trade. The whole idea, they released the idea of you will be able to prepare your land and clear it, build buildings, do whatever on it as the land progresses, and then you can put that up for sale on the market, and it's completely different plot of land than the guy next to you, right? It's much like purchasing a house on the market today in the real world, right? Every house is different. Every piece of property is different. Every piece of property and house has different amenities and has different things about it. And each of us go out to search for a house or search for a plot of land. We're going to have a different checklist on what we want in a house. Same thing going forward in this game. Okay, so I'm going to have a plot of land. I build it up. I clear it. I build it up. I farm it for a while. It has different buildings built on it as we go forward into 2.0. And then I can take that and I can sell it. Obviously, there's going to be competition in the market, but you're going to have to do much more investigation into, hey, does this plot of land have on it what I want it? Is it in the certain area I want to be in? Does it have the buildings on it I want to have? Does it produce, is the type of land I want it? Does it produce wood? Does it produce whatever it produces? Because that's the other idea. In 1.5, it's going to be straightforward. You've got 3 things you can mine or harvest. You've got grain, you've got SPS, and you can study and do the research, right? Well, going forward in 2.0, and you're going to prepare your idea of how your land is going to work based on that. And 2.0, yeah, it might be a year, it might be more than a year down the road. And I'm not talking dates here. I'm talking about the mental preparation you need to do going into 1.5 and then thinking about how you're going to convert over when you get to that point. Because in my viewpoint, being prepared is much better than not being prepared and wait until the last minute. In fact, I'm surprised that a lot of these people, I'm not casting any shade. Now, I understand the prices, the money involved with preparing a large amount of land. In fact, I was discussing it on Saturday with Tom, and I forget his last name, sorry, but who stopped by to chat on the live stream. And he said he had 400 plots. He had a castle and 2 keeps, I believe. That's a completely different viewpoint of preparation than me with 10 plots, or a person, what I would consider, I think that the standard person has less than 20 plots, 1 to 20 plots, somewhere in there. Whereas you have a small population of people that are big landholders, much different way to look at it. But I guess my whole idea is that I'm surprised that if you went in hard on land, that you aren't already at least prepared with a certain portion of that, right? And I'm not casting any shade on anybody because it's huge money. Okay, I stepped back and I looked at the 10 plots that I was preparing for, and in the last 2 months, I've spent probably close to $1,500 US dollars. Okay, at this point, I really hope that it ends up being worth it, right? But I guess my point is, when you extrapolate that out, and that is being prepared, my land is prepared to be right up front for me to get going day one with time crystals, the staking DEC needed, and the cards needed to stake on the land with approximately 9 to 10,000 production points per land plot. Okay. Some of the big landholders, obviously with castles and such, they're going in much harder with their cards, obviously for obvious reasons. And there's been a lot of discussion around how much production points you should put actually on a castle or a keep. And I guess that relies upon if you own the math equation changes if you own the whole region, or if other people are actually staked there and you're drawing off them. So it could be, I heard thrown around that 50,000 production points was good, but that number changes if you own the whole thing. If you own the whole tract or region, and you're just drawing off yourself, that number, drawing taxes off yourself, that number may be much different, and you might be better off just putting more production points on your lands that are your occupied lands that are good at mining SPS, bringing those on, and then bringing up the depending upon how you feel about the research, bringing the magic lands up. And obviously, you've got to be balanced out somewhat with land producing grain. Otherwise, you're going to be buying it at full price, which would be a huge expense on a daily basis if you are paying for a whole tract or region, right? Especially a region, right? Okay, so this whole discussion blossomed out. And I'll put the link in the show notes. So if you're interested, you can go back and watch the replay. But that's the status of how 1.5 is going to work. You're going to have the 3 items to farm. You're going to be able to go in and farm and mine on any plot of land. Now, when 2.0 hits, there's going to be a lot of changes, because you might not necessarily be able to farm grain on every type of land. You might only be able to farm grain on hills and plains. And this is just a guess, right? And the rest of your land might not be able to produce grain. Okay, so then you have to shift everything else. Going into 2.0, we might stop being able to mine SPS on every single different plot of land. Maybe it's limited down to occupied. I don't know. So on and so forth. Some of these plots you might be able to just mine ore on or something like that. And then you're going to have to take and do the whole conversion, sell your excess ore to buy excess grain. It's a whole game mechanism, right? But my main point is, between 1.5 and 2.0, it's going to be a huge difference. And like I said, that might be a year. It might be more than a year time-wise, right? So you've just got to be prepared with that in your mind, though. So I wanted to take a look at the other idea. This is a flowchart that was put out on the town hall. And if you look at the blue, the different shades of blue, that indicates the items that will be out in 1.5. Now, the peach colored bubbles are going to be 1.6. Now, there are 2 items I want to bring up here because I think they're major items here. Now, the first one is the peer-to-peer grain DEC pool, because one of the big items I see in 1.5 that's a problem with me is the whole buying and selling of grain, okay? Because it's not a big deal if you're just buying and selling with people you trust and you can trust. Big names, people you've been friends with for a while, acquainted with, done other business with. It's not going to be an issue. But there's different games in the past, and the peer-to-peer transfers, say over Discord or what have you, have led to a lot of people getting shafted. A lot of people cheated. So I didn't like this idea. So I'm going into 1.5 with the aspect of trying to be self-sufficient and accumulating a little bit more grain than what I'm using so I can have a back stock of it, right, going. So in case I want to switch things around, maybe mine some more SPS for a certain period of time, I can do that, right? Versus have to, earlier in our discussions, a few months ago, we were talking about, hey, what if we just put a lot of plots of land on farming grain and then selling grain? Well, then you're in the peer-to-peer realm where you're having to do person-to-person trading and trusting the person, back and forth, and sorry, there's a few limited people in the game that I would trust. Big names, people I've done business with before, people I've been friendly with, I would trust. But just random Joe, I don't trust them, right? So I trust them as far as I can throw them. So my main point is bringing this peer-to-peer grain DEC pool is online in 1.6. Whenever that happens, is going to be big. Okay. Now, the second big thing, I was actually surprised that the introduction to land didn't make it into 1.5 because you would think that would be like a major thing starting it up, right? But the other item that, and prefix titles, that's the other big item, along with totem combine. I guess that's two items, sorry. But those two are big items. The prefix titles that are related to, that they've put out, like landholders and you've got this many Rooney and stuff like that. Those will come online. And then while in 1.5 you will be able to accumulate totem fragments, in 1.6 you will be able to combine them. Now, it remains to be seen whether those will be the same type of totems as have been originally available on the market from way back. I don't know. Are they going to work the same? Are the stat bonuses going to be the same? Is it going to be a flat plus 10, 20% overall? Is it going to, are you going to combine them to make specific totems? This totem is good for plus 10% wood generation, whatever. I don't know, but that's coming in 1.6. Now, I bring these up to say that you will see in all this no mention of 2.0. Obviously, they're trying to work through 1.5 and then 1.6, but the big change is going to be all those other pools coming online with all the different other materials that can be harvested. Okay, I think I've talked about that enough. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, which was also brought up by a few different people, especially Gathering the Magic, is the scarcity of Riftwatcher packs. And he had done a video on the amount of packs that are available, and they are being burnt now, as we know. But I think that, and I'm right up front, I voted against this because my main idea is we really need new players in the game. And one of the main things that I look for when I start a game is, especially I love card games, is I want to buy some packs. Yeah, will packs be available on the secondary market to new players coming in? Yes. But they'll be at a pumped up price, right? Which obviously is the point, right? For us holders of cards, we want the price to go up so we can sell our packs or whatever, if you want to take a little profit, right? But from the viewpoint of a new player, that's just another hurdle. I come into this game and I've got all these hurdles I have to go through, which each hurdle is just more money, right? And it just makes it less appealing. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But with Riftwatchers packs being incrementally burned every day now, we will see the scarcity of the Riftwatchers cards, which overall, a lot of them are great cards. Let's take a look at it. And I'm not going to go out too far on this and go, but we'll take a look at this. Okay, so this is just the legendaries on the market at this point in time, 26, 9, 22, 25. Say for instance you came online and you wanted to get yourself an Agor Longtail right now. There are 3 maxed out copies and then just a handful of other 1 BCX, 6 BCX, right? Not that much when you're talking about needing to come online and play the game, especially I would argue that, if you're starting to play the game and you want to play, especially in Modern today, that you would probably want to pick up an Agor Longtail. You would probably want to pick up a Koro Lurker and a few other of these. I think those are the 2 main ones. The rest of these are nice, especially a Runemancer, right? But there's not too many. I don't know necessarily if people are going to take and stake these on land, but land's going to have some effect on it, right? Let's take a look at the epics. Okay, so say for instance you want to come in, you like the look of these epic summoners, right? Still not too many available, you know, in the grand scheme of things. Look at this, 29 Skargors available, and a lot of them are 1 BCX. So if you came in here and you wanted a maxed, there wouldn't be too many of them, right? So you need 46 cards. There's not even a max. There's one. There's one max on sale right now. So anyway, you get my point. So let's look at rares just for the sake of argument. And still, I mean, say for instance, you know, another good one that's come on my radar lately, Tinderlock. Great card in certain situations, right? Not too many available. You need 115 to max this out. If you want to play in gold, you're looking at more like 40 or 60, right? Go back to cards for sale. There's just not that many available. I shifted out. Okay, so 43. So overall, my point is that I think the value proposition for Rift Watchers packs is high now. Obviously, this is not investment advice. This is a card player advice. I think a lot of the cards are great play cards in Rift Watchers, and they're going to be gone before you know it. So I'm going to buy a few more packs, not a whole lot of packs, because once again, like I said, I had stepped back and took into account how much money I've put into land so far, and I just need to take a little bit of breathing room. So just looking at my list, I think I've hit all my topics that I wanted to. So this has been Bronze Dragon. I hope that you will join me for my 25th live stream, which I'm looking at the calendar right now, and it will be the 9th of September. And as usual, it's 11:30 a.m. And I call it my Saturday morning stand-up. We have a lot of good thoughts and talk about a lot of good Rift Watcher stuff. So I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy, and I will see you on the flip side.